Hello! Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Elizabeth and I am the owner, creator, designer of the Etsy shop Old School and Eclectic and of this YouTube channel. Today we're going to be doing a couple different things, but we're going to start out with a pack and order with me. So this week I got an order for and packed and finished this cotton finger loop braid. It was 2 yards of medium blue 3/16 inch. So, those of you who've been here for a while know that every order that I ship out goes out with a handwritten note, one of my business cards, and one of my little butterflies. So, I'll slip those in here. Into their envelope. And then I have one of my logo stickers. Then I have this envelope already. There we go. And there we go. That is all ready to go. Next, I want to do a little bit of a show off. The Lego Coliseum, is something that I've wanted for ages and ages, and my husband gave it to me last week as an early Christmas present. So, I spent almost 9 hours working on it over the weekend, and that's as far as I've gotten. I'm absolutely loving it. So, this is what I do in my free time. Is I have fun. The rest of today's video is going to be knitting. You may have seen the hint in my pack with me video of my little knit pumpkins there in the corner. And that's what we're going to be knitting today. I need about 2 feet of starting yarn. Aha! I did it correctly the first time. So I've done knitting here on my channel before. In fact, I did a live stream where I tried to knit one of my pumpkins in an hour, which I did manage to do. That's not the goal today. I just need to get 2 more pumpkins made, or want to get 2 more pumpkins made. So I'm going to work on that while we're sitting here chatting. While we're sitting here and I'm knitting and talking, we're going to talk about shop updates and life updates from me. And then if anyone has any questions for me, I would love it if you left it down in the comments. So first things first, welcome to all of my new subscribers. Over the course of the last month since my last video was posted, I have gained a bunch of subscribers and I'm now at 30. And I am super excited about it and very, very grateful to everyone who has been my subscriber for a while, or this is one of the first videos they've seen of mine, welcome, thank you. I really appreciate your support. We are now 3/5 of the way to reaching my goal of getting 50 subscribers. So thank you so much for your support. 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 25. Ooh, I was so close. I needed 26 and I was one short. I'm so good. Given that I just did a pack and order with me, I've obviously just gotten my first order in a really long time. It was almost exactly 3 months since my last order. And I finally got another one. And I am very grateful. I really enjoyed working on it. It's been a while since I made some of my cord, so that was a lot of fun. I am struggling. Holy cow. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Whoop. Speaking of struggling. 1, 2, 3. For those of you wondering, the reason that I have a goal for 50 subscribers is because then I can do mobile live streaming, which means that I can live stream from my phone, which is what I'm currently filming on, but I can film on it and then post a video, but I can't do a live stream from it until I have 50 subscribers. So that's the reason for the goal for 50 subscribers. Until I get to that point, I can only actually do live streams from my my computer camera, from my laptop. And while that's great for the kind of videos where you just sit and talk to the camera, it's not very great for first person knit along with me or let me show you what I'm working on. So that's why I have a goal for 50 subscribers, so I can do live streams where I am working like this. 2, 3. Wow, I'm dumb. Actually, no, I'm not dumb. I just did something foolish because it's been so long since I worked on one of these. I screwed up. Let's start again. The second row, I was supposed to purl, but instead I jumped to the third row instructions and did my increases, and so I have to start over. It is always better to start over early than to muscle through only to realize that it looks terrible far down the line. So, given these are pumpkins and I cinched the bottom and the top, it probably would have been fine if I had just left it, but I want it to look nice, and I want them to all look the same, and so I need to do it properly. what are some of the projects that you guys are working on right now? I have so many that I can't really keep track of them. And that's part of the reason why I'm working on a new project, which is the Lego Coliseum, because it's a break from everything else I've been doing, so it helps keep me from getting burnout with doing everything else. All right, let's try again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26. Darn it, overshot at that time. Okay. 26. And now we purl. Sometimes life's a struggle. And actually, speaking of life being a struggle, those of you who keep up on when I post videos and my Wednesday live streams may have noticed that it has been a month-ish since my last live stream. I did post a couple videos or re-upload a previous live stream, but it's been a month or so since I actually filmed one and posted a new video. And the reason for that is life. Life happens. Life did happen. And so I just got too busy. As I've said in previous videos and previous live streams, when stuff starts getting crazy in life, the first thing that's going to go out the window is social media and filming videos for YouTube. So that's what happened. And by way of stuff that's going on in my life, last Monday, I ended up in the ER. Honestly, it wasn't because of anything super bad. I mean, I guess that's all in perspective. But I was there because my doctor told me I needed to go to the ER. So I went to the ER. The reason is because I haven't been able to breathe very well since just before Halloween. I've been having trouble where I've had shortness of breath, and I just haven't been doing very well. I'm probably going to start coughing by the end of this video because I'm still struggling with it. I've been put on all sorts of different medications and an inhaler and trying to get my lungs back to a decent spot where I don't feel like I'm suffocating anymore. But nothing has been working. So that's why my doctor sent me to the ER. They're like, well, we've done everything that we know how to do and none of it's working, so go to the ER and see what they can do for you. So that's what I did. I got all packed up. My husband came home from work just because of the time. He actually came home only like 20 minutes earlier than he would have been, so luckily that was good. He came home and then I had a bag all packed. I was expecting to be in the ER for a while and possibly overnight, especially if I got admitted. And so I got myself all packed and I was ready to go as soon as my husband got home, and he went and he dropped me off at the ER. Some may wonder why he didn't come in with me to support me. It's because he was hungry and the ER was really, really busy. If anyone's been in a hospital since the start of the pandemic, you may know that there's not a lot of people allowed in, and especially not visitors. Luckily, visitors are allowed, but when it gets really busy, they will actually kick visitors out. And I figured I was going to be waiting for a little while because I was in there for not technically an emergency because I was fine. I just wasn't breathing very well and hadn't been for weeks, so I knew I was going to be like the bottom of the pile. So my husband dropped me off. And luckily, so he dropped me off around 5:10. And I had eaten my lunch at 3 o'clock because that's when I felt like eating lunch. So I had eaten within a couple hours. I wasn't too concerned, but I knew that being in the ER, they probably wouldn't want me eating anything just in case they needed to do any tests or anything where I needed to be fasting. So I was in there at 5:10. It was very, very busy. My husband went and got something for himself to eat, and then he texted me asking if I wanted him to come stay with me while I was sitting in the ER waiting. And I told him no, just go home, relax, go to bed, get some rest, because I figured I was just going to be sitting there waiting for a while. And come to find out, I ended up sitting there waiting for 8.5, almost 9 hours in the waiting room. That's not being called back. I was sitting in the waiting room for almost 9 hours. It was 1 a.m., almost 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, yeah, sometime between 1 and 2, I finally got called back. By the way, the reason it took almost 9 hours for me to get called back was because, again, it was really, really busy. And by busy, I mean even the nurses were like, we've never seen it this busy before. Like, we don't know what's going on. There was 54 patients waiting and in the rooms. So, of all the patients in the ER, there was 54 at one point. When I was getting registered and they were getting all my information and my triage and everything. There was about 54. And then after I'd been there for about 4 or 5 hours, they made an announcement that the ER was full and that those of us who had visitors or support people, we were only allowed to have one because it was just too full to be able to support, for them to be able to safely have any more people in the ER. And that was about the point where I told my husband, just go to bed. Just go to bed. Because there was no point in him coming. Unfortunately, there were some people who were really upset and were being mean to the nurses and to the staff, but they were literally doing everything they could to be able to get people in and out. In the almost 9 hours that I was there was at least 6 ambulances that came through with people. And of course, those that come in on an ambulance tend to have priority, because usually if you call an ambulance, it's because there's a big emergency that's happened. Though I know one woman who was brought in by ambulance ended up in the waiting room because she was put next to me. So we got chatting. It was this little old lady. I'll call her M. Something had happened where she suddenly couldn't walk. I don't know what. She didn't really tell me what much had happened. I just know that they had put her in a wheelchair and that she couldn't really do much. And she was probably in her upper 80s, maybe even 90s. She was an old lady. This scrawny little old lady. She was so funny. And apparently, when they came to pick her up, she didn't have any pants on. Because one of the first interactions I had with her as one of the nurses had put her next to me, was that she pulled me close and whispered in my ear, she's like, "When they came and picked me up, I didn't have any pants on, so I am all show and tell tonight." And it was just, oh, it was so funny. When you've been sitting in the ER for like 5 hours, anything to give you a giggle is great. Um, she was sitting in one of the hospital uh, wheelchairs with a blanket over her lap. So, like 5 blankets on her lap. She had so many blankets. She was like a pile of blankets, and then her little head. Um, she was so funny to talk to. Uh, yeah, it was boring, but also just fine. Like I went into the ER knowing I was going to be there for a while and potentially being admitted, and I've been in the hospital before, so I know that most of it is just sitting and doing nothing. And so I had brought a book, and I'd brought in several. Brought in? Is that a word? I don't think it is. I had brought multiple different of my crafts and my projects to work on, to cycle through, and to keep me entertained and busy uh, while waiting, because I knew it was going to be mostly waiting. Um, but so back to when they finally called me back. When they called me back, there was only, I counted 8 or 9 of us in the waiting room waiting to go back. Uh, so they'd gotten through a lot of people by the time they finally called me back 8 or 9 hours later. Uh, they called me back, and instead of putting me in a room, they put me on a gurney in the hallway right next to the nurse's station, which, thanks to the TikToker and YouTuber Stevio, I knew was a thing and knew that it was a possibility. That's where I would end up, and that is. Oh, also, when I was waiting in the waiting room, they did actually take me back briefly to get a chest X-ray, which came back normal. So they did do some testing and some checking before they even called me back. So that way they'd be ready whenever they did call me back. So they got me set up on a gurney in the hallway because they were too full, so they didn't have a room for me, which was fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the nurse was very friendly. It was very nice. She said that she didn't know how long it would be before the doctor could see me because they were so busy, obviously. And I was like, that's fine, I'm probably going to fall asleep. She's like, that is just fine. So that's exactly what I did. I was so glad to finally have a bed. It was between 1 and 2 a.m., and I was exhausted and tired. So I just curled up and I fell asleep. I woke up about a half hour later, coughing really bad. And so that kept me up for a little bit. And then I went back to sleep for another hour or so and woke up to the doctor sitting next to me. Startled me awake. And then that time I'd been asleep for about an hour. So I got some decent sleep for being in the ER. And the nurses had been nice enough, at some point they turned off the light that was directly above my gurney. And I thought that was very sweet. It was very nice of them. My brain just stopped. So I got to talk with the doctor, and he was really nice. I didn't feel like he was trying to rush me through our consultation. I didn't feel like he was trying to get me in and out. He was very succinct and easy to understand. He was very nice. So yeah, other than waiting like a crazy long amount of time, being in the ER wasn't all that bad. But so the doctor and I talked, and we decided that there wasn't any reason for me to be admitted to the hospital. There wasn't much that the ER could do for me. All my tests and my x-rays and everything seemed fine. And even though I felt like I was suffocating because I couldn't breathe very well, I've been coughing, and my chest hurt really bad, there wasn't technically anything physically wrong. Like when I was sitting there sleeping, he had checked my blood oxygen level, and was monitoring my breathing a little bit before I jumped awake. But he said that everything was fine. My blood oxygen level was between 98 and 99, which is perfect and normal. And so they said I could go home. They gave me some information for some specialists to go see, to build on what my doctor had previously given me. So I have to go see a pulmonologist, also known as a lung specialist. And I've scheduled that, but that isn't going to be until mid-January, which is just great, which means that I get to hang out being unable to breathe for another 2 months. Yeah. But at least I have an appointment scheduled to be able to go see the pulmonologist. A little fun fact, I never once got poked by a needle in this time in the ER. I didn't get an IV, they didn't draw any blood. So, I thought that was interesting. I mean, I understand that there was literally no point to do so, but I just thought that was interesting that I made it all the way through an ER visit without getting poked with a needle. So I was finally set loose, sent free, right around 4:30 a.m. I called my husband, and he, of course, was asleep, and he groggily came and picked me up, and he was like, if I wasn't dead tired, I would take us to IHOP right now. And I was like, that's okay. I'm dead tired too. So we both went home, and we went back to bed, and my husband went in to work like an hour late because he was super tired, and I was super tired, and all was well. I just realized that I don't know if I told you guys the instigating story for my not being able to breathe very well. On October 28th, my husband and I went on a road trip to go spend Halloween, or the weekend before Halloween, with my family, and to go to my niece's baptism. And on the drive, we stopped in Kansas City to get something to eat. We got some pizza, and we had a really nice break. We were several hours ahead of schedule, so we had plenty of time to stop and eat and to take our time and to breathe and rest. We've made this drive dozens of times, so it wasn't anything new, but it's always nice to be able to take a road trip slowly and relaxed. So we had stopped and we'd eaten, and then we got back on the road, and right after we got back on the road, while we were still driving through Kansas City, my throat closed up. And that was really scary. That's never happened to me before. I am allergic to many, many things. mostly environmental, but I'm also allergic to dairy and so many other things, and we're still figuring out some of my allergies. I'm allergic to some medications, and so this is one allergic reaction that I've never actually experienced before, and we don't even know if this experience was an allergic reaction or not. We don't know, but there was way too many variables for us to be able to accurately pinpoint what might have caused it. But so my throat started to close, which of course put me into a panic. And I was trying really hard to be calm, in spite of the fact that my throat was closing. And I quickly looked up, my husband was driving, so I quickly looked up the nearest urgent care, which ended up being a minute clinic at CVS Pharmacy, which really isn't an urgent care, come to find out, but I was desperate and wasn't in a state of mind to be able to do research on what's the best urgent care nearby as we're driving through Kansas City and my throat's closing. So we ended up at, I looked it up, got us the instructions, and my husband started driving us there, and I started getting really, really nauseous. And my stomach started roiling, and I just was not feeling good. And so I've got this like terrible conglomerate of these awful symptoms where I just feel miserable and I am not okay. And my husband gets us to the CVS pharmacy, where he goes in and he talks to one of the nurses asking if they could even like help us and if they have a bathroom, because I just wanted to go in the bathroom now. And I ended up going in, and I sat on the bathroom floor, or I was in the bathroom and on the bathroom floor at the CVS pharmacy for an hour. And it was awful. I'd given my phone to my husband, so I had no idea how much time was passing. But it was probably about 45 minutes into my interment in the bathroom when one of the nurses from the Minute Clinic popped their head in. They're like, "Your husband is concerned. Are you okay? Do you need anything?" And I was so miserable. But by that point, I had pinpointed what medication should help relieve my distress. And so I let her know, and my husband went and bought some medication, which was actually really good that we were at a CVS pharmacy because he could locate and purchase whatever medication it was that I needed, and it was right there. And that was extremely helpful. And so he bought some medication, and he was allowed to bring it in to me even though I was in the women's bathroom, and I took it, and within about 15 minutes-ish, I'm guessing, I was feeling well enough to get back on the road. Sometime amidst all of that, my throat opened back up. I don't know why it closed. I don't know what happened to make it open again. I was way more focused on my gut and how miserable I felt. I don't know if they're connected, my throat closing and my gut being upset. Before I'd even eaten lunch, my stomach was feeling kind of funky and off. But I didn't think too much of it. But yeah, so I sat on that bathroom floor for an hour. That was a really rough hour that I never ever want to repeat. I'll be honest, one of the things that went through my mind was the TV show, I Didn't Know I Was Pregnant or something. I think that's what it's called. I don't know. But the show where women tell their stories of, I was living my life and then all of a sudden I went to the bathroom and there was a baby. Like, Or I was suddenly in so much pain and come to find out I was pregnant. How did I not know I was pregnant? So that ran through my head, like the possibility, like, am I in one of those situations where I didn't know I was pregnant? That's why I'm in so much pain. But no, no. For those of you who don't know, I can't have kids. The chances of me being able to get pregnant are, I technically could still get pregnant, but it's like a 0.01% chance that I could ever possibly have a child. So it's like an impossibility, basically. But it did cross my mind, and I was like, that would be so weird. So I finally got feeling well enough to get back on the road. And because we had been so ahead of schedule, we actually still arrived in town. So we were supposed to meet my parents and one of my brothers and his wife at a restaurant for dinner. And we got there half an hour before our meeting time. Like, we were still on time in spite of the fact that we stopped to eat and we were stuck at a CVS pharmacy for an hour. So I am really proud of our planning that we were able, we were so ahead of schedule that we were there early. And yeah, things went really well. But so ever since that incident, I've been having severe breathing issues where I get winded super easily. I get pain in my chest. I feel like I can't breathe. I've had a couple more incidences where it feels like my throat's closing up, but nothing's been nearly as bad as that very first time where my throat really did close, which is good. But that's why I went to my doctor to try and get some help and some medication and to figure out what was going on. It was time for my annual checkup anyway, so that's part of the reason why I went. But to bring that full circle, that's why I was in the ER, because I had my throat close up, and I went to see my doctor. They gave me medication. The medication didn't work, so they couldn't do anything else for me, so they sent me to the ER to see if the hospital could do anything for me, and they are sending me to a pulmonologist, which I can't see for 2 months because the pulmonologist is too busy, but at least I'm on the schedule. So that's my story of how the last couple of months have gone. Yeah, it's been 1 month. It's been 1 month because, yeah, it's only been 1 month. My perception of time is not very good. It skews very easily. Have any of you guys ever ended up in the ER? Either because the doctor told you to or because some mishap or accident happened? I'd love to hear your story. This was, in fact, not the first time I've ended up in the ER. This was the 3rd or 4th time that I've been in the ER for myself. Though usually I'm into the ER because of my seizures. But, no, this time was my breathing. But I'd love to hear you guys' stories. One of the things that the doctor said that I had not considered. So, going back to my seizures, I have non-epileptic psychogenic seizures, which are basically, they're stress-induced seizures. where if I get really, really stressed or really, really anxious, the stress and anxiety, what's the word I'm looking for? Shows itself. Oh, there's a word. There's a word for that, and I cannot think of what that word is. Displays? No. But the stress and anxiety comes out as seizures for me. Where some people get migraines or have breathing issues, mine tends to come out as seizures. However, I've gone to cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, and I have done a lot of my own work in learning how to remain calm and to manage stress. And so I've actually done really well, and I haven't had a seizure in probably close to a year now, which is pretty good given that when we were originally seeking a diagnosis, I was having hundreds in a day. So I've improved a lot. But the doctor said that this could be another manifestation of my anxiety. And it's something called vocal cord dysfunction, which when you Google vocal cord dysfunction and it talks about the symptoms, I have had every single symptom. Every single one of them. Like usually when you're on like WebMD or whatever, it's like, or cancer. But it's got like all these like crazy symptoms, and you're like, well, I have a couple of them, but not all of them. No, I have every single one, or have had in the last couple of years. So that's something for me to consider, where it could just be that this is how my stress is manifesting itself. Like I've managed the seizures so well that my body's decided to find a new way to cope, I guess. So that's something that I've been keeping in mind as I've continued to struggle with my breathing since coming home from the ER, is that maybe it's psychological, where yes, the breathing issues are real and my vocal cords are in fact causing issues and are physically having a reaction to my stress. So it's very physical, like it is real, but it could be simply caused by stress. And that maybe I need to go kind of back through my CBT and my training that I learned and my methods to work through my inability to breathe and hopefully get it better psychologically. And then by the time that I get to the pulmonologist, maybe I'll be fine. But I've had breathing issues my entire life, so maybe it's something more. When I was talking to my mom about my symptoms and what had happened, she said that it sounded exactly like an anxiety attack that she had that put her in the ER back when I was a teenager. So, who knows? We'll find out. I'll continue to go through the practices that I learned in therapy and try to improve my breathing, and hopefully I will get better. In spite of all that, I have been doing really well. How are you guys doing? Has life been looking up? Kind of on a downturn? How are things going? I have a self-care app that I use. Hashtag not sponsored. It's called Finch, where basically you have like this little bird that you take care of. You name it, and then you set goals, and you can interact with your little birdie. And it's supposed to help you be able to manage your goals, but also help you through stress and anxiety and depression, and kind of give you a purpose. And it has done all that for me. It's been very, very helpful. I think I've been using it for almost a year now, and I really enjoy it. It's a really decent app. I've been enjoying it. Why did I mention it? I know I mentioned Finch for a reason. Oh, it tracks your... One of the things that you do with it is it tracks how you're feeling. Every time you log in, it asks how you're feeling, and then you rate it, essentially on a scale of 1 to 5. And according to the weekly report that it sends you, and it sent me, I have been in a really good mood for the last week, especially the past weekend. And I've just been doing really well. And that makes me really happy because I'm really bad at self-reflection. I have to have it recorded somewhere or else I will not remember accurately what happened or how I was feeling. Like I just won't. I can't remember that kind of stuff. I've just never been very good at it. But so, according to the Finch app, I have been doing really, really well, and I am feeling really happy, which is really great. It's really nice to not be depressed for once. And maybe it's tied to the fact that my husband had a 4-day weekend over Thanksgiving, and I'm sure that definitely helped, be able to just spend time with my husband, because I love spending time with him. Honestly, he and I don't do a whole lot of things together. I mean, we did over the 4-day weekend. We did various things. Like, he took me to go and get my Coliseum, and we decorated for Christmas, and we did some cleaning around the house together. But honestly, most of our time is more along the lines of parallel play, where we just quietly do our own things, but we're just together while we do it. And I absolutely love it. I am basically living my dream life, and it's amazing and wonderful, and I am really, really happy. And remember, just because I'm really happy doesn't mean that my life is perfect. Again, I spent Monday night almost from 5 p.m. to 4 a.m. in the ER. I just spent 3 months getting no sales on Etsy. I am having to pack up because we're moving in a couple of months because we need to get out of our rental that we're currently in. And things aren't always great, but that doesn't change the fact that I am so happy right now. It is possible to have joy and happiness in spite of struggles and hard times and difficulties in life. And I am really happy. I hope you guys are too. And even if you're not, that you will be able to find bits of joy in spite of whatever trials or difficulties you're going through. I know that difficult times are not forever. Having been through many myself, I know that they don't last. That everything will be okay in the end. With that, I think I will sign off for today. I love you guys, and I love your support. I really appreciate everything that you guys do for me. Whether you follow my various pages, you subscribed, you watch my videos, comment, all of that stuff helps me and shows your support, and it means the world to me. Thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate each and every one of you so much. I hope you guys have a great week. Until next time, bye.